So do you ever hit the snooze button? You just want to keep the dream alive. It's just got to stay there. A recent research report actually came out, and there was more than 1,000 participants in this research that was done. And what they discovered was that there was a significant number of young people and what's known as late chronotypes that hit the snooze button on a regular basis. Now, you may be wondering, what is a late chronotype? Well, it is basically someone who stays up later and who stays asleep later than most people. They stay up late and they sleep later than most people do. You know these people. They're the people that sometime well after midnight, they're still watching reruns of Seinfeld on TV Land. Or maybe they're watching Mannix or Barnaby Jones on MeTV. Or maybe they're the kind of person that stays up late at night for a little home shopping network time, hoping that they might catch that limited edition Dukes of Hazzard buttered dish and gravy boat collection. Those things, they sell fast. You got to get them. Why do we hit the snooze button? Well, we hit the snooze button sometimes because we stay up late, right? Sometimes we're up late watching TV. Sometimes we're up late doom scrolling through Instagram or whatever else that we're doing. Sometimes we're up late because at midnight we decide, hey, you know what? They're serving breakfast at Whataburger right now. I'm just going to take off there. And you go through the drive-thru and you order 3 orders of biscuits and gravy. Not with the buttermilk biscuits, but with the jalapeno cheddar biscuits. Yeah, that's a real thing. You can do that. We all hit the snooze button for different reasons. And sometimes we hit the snooze button because truthfully, we don't want to get up. We know what we're facing that day. We know that thing that we are trying to avoid, that person we are trying to avoid. Sometimes we hit the snooze button because we don't want to face life. Ever been there? Ever had a day like that? Was there any hope for days like that? Yes, there is. We continue our summer series called Total Comfort, where we have been looking at what it means to experience comfort when things like trouble and grief and danger come our way. Today's sermon is called The Comfort of Knowing, and we're going to be looking in Psalm 91. And in Psalm 91, we're going to find a little help for the snooze button. But more than just a little help for the snooze button, we're going to find an ultimate reality. An ultimate reality that cannot be changed no matter what you face today, no matter what you're facing tomorrow, and no matter what you face on any other day for the rest of your life. What kind of ultimate reality is that? Let's find out. Psalm 91, verse 14. Because he has loved me. There's a change in voices here. The psalmist is not speaking for himself here. He is now speaking and recording the words of God's voice. God himself is speaking about his own promises. And what is God saying about his promises? He's saying the exact same thing today about his promises that he was saying in Psalm 91 almost 3,000 years ago. And that's this. God is saying, I have something to give. It is something grand and glorious and amazing. It is happy. It is joy-producing, and it is satisfying. I have something to give to those who love me. That's important. All the aspects of God's saving grace are not just generally for everybody. Now, are there aspects of God's grace that everybody gets? Absolutely. Because you exist, because you were born, because you are breathing, you are experiencing the grace of God. But there are unique promises for the person who has believed in Jesus and is continuing to believe in Jesus. Unique promises for those who love God. Unique promises that really matter when you don't want to get out of bed, when you don't want to face whatever's happening that day. And what are those unique promises? Well, we're going to see a couple of them in just a moment. But first, it's good that we dig down just a moment on this picture of God's unique promises being for those who love him. How do you know if you truly love God? How do you know? One day Jesus was being grilled by some religious leaders, and a lawyer amongst the group spoke up and said, "Hey, Jesus, if you take all of the law out there, all of the ultimate law, and you had to pick one, which one is most important? What's number one? What's the greatest law of all the laws?" And Jesus responded to him with these words, Matthew 22:37, "You shall love the Lord your God with all your heart and with all your soul and with all your mind." That's what it means to truly love God. You love God first and most with everything that you are. Now, do we do that perfectly? No, but that's the calling. The language in Psalm 91, it means to cling to God in love. It means to fall in love with God, to set your ultimate love on God. How do you do that? How do you set your love on God? About 30 years after Jesus was crucified, the Apostle Paul was writing to some folks in the church, in the Colossian church, and this is what he said to them, Colossians 3:2. "Set your minds on the things that are above." The tense of the Greek verb here is the same language that we see in Psalm 91, and it's ongoing action. It means something that happens and it keeps happening. So when we talk about setting our love on God, we talk about what it means to fall in love with God. What we're saying is this: you start setting your love on God, you start falling in love with God, and then you keep doing it. Over and over and over again, you keep doing it every second, every hour, every day. You go after loving God with all that you have. Now, will we do this perfectly? No, we won't. But is it the calling and purpose that will most satisfy us? Yes. And is it the aspect of what it means to truly love God? Yes. Someone once said that the essence of loving God is that you admire him and you enjoy all that he is. Do you admire God? Do you enjoy all that he is? The things you understand and the things you don't understand? Think of one person in your life that you admire. Just get their name or picture of their face in your head for a moment. It could be a parent, a grandparent, could be a child, a spouse, could be a pastor or a politician or an athlete or a number of other people. But get that person in your mind and try to think in your mind, why is it that you admire them? Maybe it's because they're smart. Maybe it's because they're successful. Maybe it's because something they do for you or something that they are normally doing for you. Maybe you admire that person because on some global scale they've been really charitable. Or maybe they've had a fantastic performance in a game or a play or a movie or a TV show. Or maybe you admire them because they've worked hard and raised a decent family. Or maybe you just admire them because in some measure that person loves or loved you very consistently. But we all have reasons for why we admire a person, why we enjoy who they are. But all of those reasons for why we admire those people, it's not the same as admiring and enjoying God. Because God has no beginning and he has no end. So immediately that puts God in a completely different category from anyone else ever. I often share a couple of different descriptions when it comes to God being his own category. One of those descriptions I often share came from a prayer at the end of a church service 163 years ago along the coast of South Carolina. And it goes like this: Look up. God, your Redeemer and Deliverer, reigns. Suns and systems of light are but the sparkling dust beneath his feet. Infinite empire is in his grasp. See, he comes riding upon the wings of the whirlwind, wielding his glittering sword bathed in the radiance of heaven, driving his foes like chaff before his face and hastening to the help of his saints with resources of boundless power and unlimited grace. See, he sits on yonder throne. We should know and love and enjoy and admire God because his resources of power are boundless. His grace is unlimited. And he sits on yonder throne. He's always sat on yonder throne. He will always sit on yonder throne. Whatever person in your life, whether it be someone in your home or a government official or somebody on the other side of the world, whatever person makes you angry or afraid, they do not have infinite empire in their grasp, and they never will. The reason God is in a category by himself is there is no one like him. Only he sits on the ultimate throne. No one else does. No one else will. The second description I've often shared, I just got through sharing in the first sermon of this series, but it's good enough to repeat. A.W. Pink said this: being infinitely elevated above the highest creature, he is the Most High, Lord of heaven and earth, subject to none, influenced by none, absolutely independent. God does as he pleases, only as he pleases, always as he pleases. None can thwart him, none can hinder him. We should know and love and admire and enjoy God because there is no politician. There is no political agenda. There is no dictator, no queen, no king, no general. There is no physical pain. There is no mental anguish. There is no emotional stress. There is no financial certainty. There is no tariff. There is no tax. There is no trouble. There is no grief. There is no danger that can ever hinder the hand of God. This is who we sing to. This is not a religion. It is not a denomination. It is not a ceremony. This is the one and true only God. And there is nothing that will ever hinder his rule, his reign, his power, his authority, his love. Nothing. Nothing will ever hinder it. So how do we tap into that? How do we tap into a love, a reign, a rule, a grace, a power, authority, a mercy that can never be thwarted or hindered or stopped? In essence, how do we go about knowing, loving, enjoying, and admiring God? There's a reel floating around from 1973. It's a moment when Johnny Carson was interviewing Billy Graham. And Carson asked him, he says, hey, what's the question that you think people ask you the most? And Billy Graham said, well, the question that people probably ask me the most is, how can I know God? How can I know God? How do I find God? And then he went on to say this. He said, and probably the problem that people write to me the most about is how deeply lonely they feel. But that's the one thing that he heard about the most, is how lonely people are. And Billy Graham went on to say this. He said, I'm convinced that that feeling of loneliness is a loneliness for God. And 52 years later, nothing's different, right? There's nothing new under the sun. Even on a crowded beach in the middle of summer, at a birthday party surrounded by family and friends, in a church service just like that, many of us feel deeply alone. Lonely. And that feeling of loneliness, at its core, is a desire to be loved. And there is no greater way to be loved than to be loved by the one who sits on yonder throne. There is no love like the love of God. So how do we get that love into our hearts? How do we start knowing that love? How do we start admiring and enjoying that love? Well, thankfully, Jesus was very kind. He put it very simply and very easy for us to understand. In John 3:16, for God so loved the world that he gave his only Son, so that anyone who believes in him shall not perish, but have eternal, everlasting life. The key to loving and knowing and admiring and enjoying God, it starts with believing in Jesus. Not believing in Jesus once, but believing in Jesus and continuing to believe in Jesus. And the reason it starts there is because the greatest way that God has ever shown love to the world is through Jesus. Jesus is the greatest expression of the love of God. Why? Why is Jesus the greatest expression of the love of God? Well, we find the answer all the way back in Psalm 91. Listen to the next part of verse 14. God says this, I will save him. God will save. He will deliver. He will rescue. He will redeem those who love him first and most. And how has God designed to do that? What's the ultimate escape pod? What's the ultimate fountain of youth? What's the ultimate medicine to escape death? Salvation in Jesus Christ. Through the crucifixion and resurrection of Jesus Christ, salvation with God, being made right with God, did not just become a possibility, it became a reality. Right now, because of the death and resurrection of Jesus, I am absolutely certain that my saving faith in Jesus Christ is guaranteed. It's not a possibility, it's a reality. What did the choir sing just a moment ago? My value is fixed. Not because I'm a Republican or a Democrat or a Baptist or a Presbyterian or a Catholic or even an American. My value is fixed because of Jesus. Fixed. Anybody in here feel that your value is less? Has your spouse made you feel unvalued? Have your parents made you feel unvalued? Do your friends make you feel unvalued? Does the chaos of this world make you feel like it's all just a waste? Did you know that there is a way without a shadow of a doubt that your value can be fixed, not just in general, not just in your heart and mind, but in eternity? All of that through Jesus Christ. I am saved. I am delivered. I am rescued. I am redeemed. I am being saved. I am being delivered. I am being rescued. I'm being redeemed. And one day I will ultimately and fully and completely and absolutely satisfyingly be saved and delivered and rescued and redeemed. And nothing can change that. My value in Christ is fixed. That can help you get out of bed in the morning. That's not a fairy tale. That's a fixed value. And that's why I should love and know and admire and enjoy God. This is why. He has not only promised me that he will save and deliver me, he has made it certain. He has guaranteed it through Jesus Christ. He will accomplish it through my saving faith in the person and the work of Jesus Christ. And that so matters. Listen, whatever it is you like or don't like about me, or about this church, or about Baptist, or about religion, or about someone who professes to be a Christian, whatever it is you don't like about any earthly connections of Christianity, please do not reject the person and work of Christ. Tim Keller said this: Jesus is both the rest and the storm, both the victim and the wielder of the flaming sword, and you must reject him on the basis of both. He goes on, either you'll have to kill him or you'll have to crown him. The one thing you can't do is just say, what an interesting guy. What are you afraid of the most right now? What are you afraid of the most? Are you afraid to die? Are you afraid you won't get married? Are you afraid your marriage will fall apart? Are you afraid you won't have kids? Are you afraid your kids are going to be crazy and irresponsible? Are you afraid your business won't make it? Are you afraid you won't have a good job? Are you afraid you won't have a good house, a good car? Are you afraid your health is going to fall apart? You afraid you won't have enough money for retirement? Are you afraid this country is going liberal? Are you afraid this country is going MAGA? What are you afraid of? Whatever you're afraid of, whatever you're angry about, whatever you're bitter about, whatever it is that keeps you up at night, whatever makes you not want to get up in the morning. According to all that is found in the truth of God, if you are loving God first and most, you will be saved, you will be delivered, you will be rescued, you will be redeemed. Whatever you're afraid of, whatever you're angry about, whatever you're worried about, whatever you're bitter about, dear Christian, you will be saved and delivered. This is a certainty. That value is fixed. Not because of anything we do. Our worth, as the choir is saying, is not in what we do. Our worth is in Christ and Christ alone. Through the cross and the empty tomb, your salvation has already been accomplished. Nothing can change that. That value is fixed. But there's more. It's not just being saved and delivered. Listen to verse 14, the next part. I will set him securely on high because he has known my name. Ultimate safety is not in a fallout shelter. Ultimate safety is in falling up into the shelter of God, falling into the shelter of God. Ultimate safety is found in God setting you securely on high in his kingdom forever. Someone going to say, that sounds great at church on Sunday morning. Yay, okay, we're going to be set on high in heaven, woohoo. But I got to go to the doctor tomorrow, Or you don't know how my spouse is. You don't know what my kids are like. You don't know what's happening at work this week. Well, right now, the most ultimate safety in the universe is to be securely set on high with God forever. That'll never change. No matter what we face at any given moment, to be set securely on high with God forever is the greatest safety, the greatest security, the greatest confidence that we could ever have. There's a song years ago written by Stephen Curtis Chapman, and the song had the following lyrics. Someday I will fly, and maybe then you will take me aside and show me the bigger picture. But until I'm with you, I'll be here with a heart that is true and a soul that's resting on your higher ways. Until I'm with you. Until I'm with you. Until I've been ultimately saved and delivered and rescued and redeemed. Until I've been ultimately set on high. Until that guarantee happens. Until then, I'm going to love God and keep on loving God. And I'm going to praise his name. I'm going to enjoy his name. I'm going to admire his name. I'm going to honor his name. I'm going to serve in his name. When I look at all the other names that mean the most to me in life, God's name is always going to get first place. I'm going to render him the highest. until I'm with him. I will keep his name as the name above every name. Listen, that really matters. And if I don't want to oversimplify it, but I think it matters to oversimplify it. When we believe in the name of God and we put his name, we render his name above all other names. That means his name is above the difficult, impossible spouse. That means his name is above the difficult, impossible child. That means his name is above the difficult, impossible friend. That means his name is above who we want to get elected and who we don't want to get elected. That means his name is above whoever will be the next king or the next queen or the next dictator in any corner of the world. The name of God is above every name, and that will never change, and that matters when we don't want to get out of bed. If that God is our God, it changes our thoughts on the snooze button. 2 years ago, Alan Noble wrote a book. This is the title of the book. I love it. On Getting Out of Bed. The Burden and Gift of Living. That's real right there, right? Man, the burden of got to get out of bed. He wrote the book based on his own experience with anxiety and depression as a Christian. And one of the truths that he highlights in the book is the importance of God's Word. When it comes to all the different things that we fall apart about, all the things that we worry about, that we're afraid about, that we're bitter about, whatever it is, whatever emotion and thought that we're experiencing, there is something about the Word of God that changes all of it. I can't explain it. I'm just repeating it. I'm just proclaiming it. There is something about the truth of the Bible that just changes everything. We mentally believe that, but in the moment, we don't always really believe it. But it's always true. And one of the things he kind of summarized about what the truth of the Bible has for us when we're struggling the most is this. He wrote, "You're seen. You're loved. God desires your good. He sent his Spirit and his people to walk beside you. You are not your own, and you are not alone." I just want to repeat all of that one more time because it's good for us to hear twice. You're seen. You're loved. God desires your good. He sent his Spirit and his people to walk beside you. You are not your own, and you are not alone. Are you striving to know God? Are you striving to love him, to admire him, to enjoy him first and most? Do you know his name, and to the best of your ability, do you strive to honor his name? Not perfectly, but do you make it your best shot every day? Have you believed in Jesus Christ, and are you still believing in Jesus Christ? If so, then you will be saved and delivered. This is the promise of God. You will be rescued and redeemed. You will be set on high securely. 10,000 years from now, nothing will touch you. And also, because of the truth of what you have in Jesus Christ, you are fully seen, you are fully known, you are fully loved. And you are not alone. Dear Christian, you are not alone. And that is total comfort.